Hello and welcome to a new series of video, Movies by the Decade. It will focus on movies I found enjoyable for one reason or another throughout the decades, and those I recommend for you to watch. This first video will be somewhat special as it will focus on the movies released between the year 1900 and up to 1940, and most of these movies have a historical value first and foremost, as most of them are silent films. I will be going through them alphabetically. So, without further ado, let's begin. The first movie on this list is also the oldest one. A Trip to the Moon, released in 1902, is one of the first sci-fi movies ever. And that's what gives it a spot in my book, a true piece of history. It has this very famous scene with the moon coming up on the screen. The next film is also a cinema classic, called Battleship Potemkin, released in 1925, one of the few non-Hollywood films on my lists. Its plot revolves around a revolution during a revolution, and it was the first to feature some very iconic scenes, such as this one. City Lights, released in 1931, is the next movie on this list. A romantic comedy featuring Charlie Chaplin, showing that a good slapstick is always funny, regardless of time passed. Duck Soup is a Marx Brothers sardonic satire of a bankrupt fictional land of Fredonia. Released in 1933, it is a good piece of history into comedy, and can introduce you to some of their other features. To me, though, it's mostly a piece of history.
Well, that covers a lot of ground. Say, you cover a lot of ground yourself. You better beat it. I hear they're going to tear you down and put up an office building where you're standing. You can leave in a taxi. If you can't get a taxi, you can leave in a huff. If that's too soon, you can leave in a minute and a half. You know, you haven't stopped talking since I came here. You must have been vaccinated with a phonograph needle.
It Happened One Night is a 1934 romantic comedy featuring how people from different social strata interacted back then. It's a fun watch even today.
I don't think I'll write that book after all.
Yeah, think of all the fun you had, though. Do you mind if I try?
You? Don't make me laugh.
Oh, you're such a smart Alec. Nobody knows anything but you. I'll stop a car, and I won't use my thumb.
What are you going to do?
It's a system all my own.
Released in 1927, Metropolis is one of the most homaged movies, so to speak, a true pillar in sci-fi and cinematography, directed by Fritz Lang. As a silent German film, however, it might not be up to everyone's taste. Modern Times, released in 1936, is probably the most or second most famous Chaplin's film, a very creative slapstick romantic comedy. Buster Keaton's The General, released in 1926, is a prime example of his slapstick comedy sprinkled in with some adventure. Keaton was one of the best, if not the best slapstick performers, and a masterful stuntman, as he did all of his crazy stunts in his movies himself. The penultimate title is The Lady Vanishes, one of Alfred Hitchcock's earlier works across the pond, featuring an intriguing murder mystery with a decent amount of comedy and some romance.
If you please, sir.
Get out! 1, 2.
Please, sir, will you kindly stop? The whole complaining in the hotel. You make too much noise.
Too much what?
Too much noise.
You dare to call it a noise. The ancient music with which your peasant ancestors celebrated every wedding for countless generations. The dance they danced when your father married your mother. Always supposing you were born in wedlock, which I doubt. Look at them. I take it you're the manager of this.
Sure, I am the manager of this
Well,
hotel.
fortunately, I'm accustomed to squalor. Tell me, who's complaining?
This young English lady underneath.
Well, you tell the young English lady underneath that I am putting on record for the benefit of mankind one of the lost folk dances of Central Europe, and furthermore, she does not
But,
own
sir,
the
don't
hotel.
you understand?
Now, 1, 2.
For the finale, we have a classic on the one hand, but on the other, the stories that had come from it show quite a dark side of Hollywood in those times. I am talking about The Wizard of Oz, released in 1939 and based on a children's book. It is in that note a children's movie following the adventures of Dorothy and her company. It was the first full-color Technicolor film, also one of the reasons I recommend it. In conclusion of the decade, in this case decades, it can be noted that most films of this era were silent films, and as it comes to my recommendations, most of them are comedies with elements of romance. And considering the times most of them were made, the Depression and so forth, comedies were, I would argue, quite sought after. In the future videos, I will be focusing on fewer titles and giving them a bit more time, but I felt that this era, now mostly enjoyed by true cinemaphiles and lovers of history preservation, was good with one video. Not that I don't enjoy most of these films, I do, but certainly not all of them. Until next time.